Well, good Monday morning to you, and welcome to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition, located on Cowan Road in Gulfport, just south of Pash Road. And our phone lines are 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Now, this is the first day of the month. Can you believe it's August already?
I know.
Christmas
they always
shopping
say
soon.
when you get older, time goes faster, and it really is true.
She picking on us?
No,
you know,
I'm
it's,
saying me too, actually.
I
mean, it was just Christmas.
I know, it does seem like it,
And
doesn't it?
it's coming on again.
Time
Christmas
to start
shopping
shopping
starts.
Is there something we can take for that? Or?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no.
No, not a, well, this is Open Line Monday, the first Monday of every month. We do an Open Line Day in which we invite you to call in about anything regarding, your health. The whole show is about living a healthier lifestyle. And that's why we call it Live Healthy, Be Healthy. Right. So, whether it's changing some things in your diet, just changing your lifestyle. And, we talk about that all the time, that your diet, and the diet really is a center point for living a healthier lifestyle. Because as the old saying goes, you put garbage in,
Garbage out.
Garbage out.
Yeah, it's real important.
And we're seeing that it's getting worse. It's not getting better.
Mm-hmm.
People are eating worse and worse, and they're thinking it's okay. Because you don't know how many people tell us they have a perfect diet, and when you start asking them what they eat, and they tell you, there's nothing perfect about it.
Right.
And so people are starting to think that it's okay to eat certain things and to eat huge quantities of, packaged processed foods.
Right.
And that's one thing that we stress if you don't do anything else, eat a real food diet. Get real food, get real meat and vegetables and nuts and seeds and get real stuff. People say, what should I look at on the package? I say, you're better off if you don't. If it doesn't have a label on the package. I mean, you're better off if it doesn't say anything.
If it's got more than 3 ingredients, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty simple.
But, we've even told people that if you're not really sure, you say you just can't, seem to lose that weight or whatever, make a diary 1 week of everything that you put in your mouth.
Yeah.
And then bring it over to them.
It'll be kind of scary.
Yeah, and we'll tell you what's going on. We even had a perfect example, and I've had a few people tell me this, and it really does show you how our food is starting to be more contaminated and more chemicals and everything in the food. I've had like 2 or 3 people that come in our store that happen to go overseas, and they go to Europe, or the lady just the other day was at Ireland. And she said, what's weird is everything I can't eat here that makes me deathly sick, that I thought I was allergic to, I can eat over there. So it's the chemicals.
Sure.
It's the additives. It's the way they feed the animals. It's the way, she said she can't even eat salmon in this country, but she could eat it in Ireland.
Well,
so,
if you get wild caught salmon,
I hear that.
Farm salmon now.
I hear that constantly from people that come in that go to other countries that doesn't allow the chemicals. And they say, when I eat there, I don't feel bad. I was able to eat, but their stuff is fresher a lot of times.
Well, if you think about it too, you read about this all the time. People in foreign countries, especially like in Asian countries, they live a longer lifestyle. Over in Italy, they live longer.
Yeah.
Because
actually, a lot of people live longer than the United States.
Well, but I'm just mentioning key things because of their lifestyle and the diets, their diets. Well, they don't have a lot of preservatives in it.
Exactly.
That's part of it. It's true. It's their diet and their lifestyle. And their lifestyle involves a lot of exercise that we don't do here in the United States, too. Like even walking. To small village in, say, Austria or somewhere. And they walk down to the market and they walk back home. Well, here, you park as close as you can to the entrance, get out, walk inside the store,
shop in the air conditioning.
They have a lot of markets where you go and then you have your fresh meat and your fresh fish and your fresh vegetables, and you go pick up what you're going to cook that day, because of course fresh stuff you can't get weeks in advance.
Right.
So that's what you see in a lot of other countries, and we are seeing them. But I have multiple people that go out of the country that tell me the same thing when they get back. I just can't believe how different I felt in another country.
Well, like you say, talking about wild-caught salmon.
Yeah.
The difference between that.
Yeah.
Because if you get farm-raised salmon,
right.
The stuff that they feed them.
Well, Purina, salmon chow. I don't know whether Purina makes it or not, but it's the same thing. They feed it a salmon chow.
Grains are cheap. That's what's fed to the cows. That's what's fed to the chickens. That's what's fed to everything. Is because it's cheap.
And we won't even talk about what tilapia eats whenever in their pond.
Yeah, that is pretty scary.
I've never seen a wild-caught tilapia, so.
You don't see it in the stores.
Yeah,
no.
I don't think I've seen it.
It's all farm raised. All the tilapia is farm raised. If you're gonna eat food, especially like us here on the coast, goodness gracious, go to the local markets.
Yes.
Get fresh fish. Ask the guy behind the counter. And
we always do, and they'll tell us.
They'll tell you
what came in this morning. What did somebody catch and bring in? What y'all buy off of somebody? And they'll tell you.
Exactly.
And so we are in an area that you can get fresh
Right.
seafood. I mean, we are there.
And there's
Take
a lot of great
advantage of it.
farmers in the area that if you
Yeah.
were looking for, good fresh, produce. Thank
Yeah.
you. Fresh produce and
Go to the
everything. And I
farmers
mean,
market.
several farmers market along the Gulf
Yeah,
Coast. that
pretty
you can
much
go.
each town has one. I mean, Gulfport, Biloxi, Ocean Springs, they all have one on different days. And, just kind of find wherever that is. If you read a lot of the health magazines and stuff, I've seen these various articles, but a lot of them have come back to the one thing. You get to know your farmer. In other words, like you get to know your butcher or something, Well, and that's true because you want to know where that food comes from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob from Bay St. Louis called and said, I heard that the FDA does not monitor vitamins or supplements. Is this true?
No.
And
No,
how
it
do you
is
know what you are buying or trust what's in it?
No, it's not true. They do monitor it. I mean, they have some very strict guidelines, and a lot of people that come in our place and they've talked to us over the past few years. You've seen the FDA tighten up their restrictions and so on certain raw materials. We have to do more testing and so on, which I think is a good thing. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's bad. It's a good thing but they are very involved in it, and they have their guidelines, and and the guidelines have gotten much stricter in the past few years. It's sometimes we see.
There is a problem in the industry
There
because you
is.
do see the studies that come out where things were tested and not had in it what it said in the bottle. And that is a problem. And
Yeah,
when
one of
you-
those big
and
box stores
when
got in
we
trouble
tell
for that a couple of
people-
years
Oh
ago.
yeah, a bunch of them did. Now we tell people if you go in and you buy something that is normally expensive and it's really cheap, you're probably not getting what it is. So you
Yeah.
really do, you get what you pay for. So buying the cheapest stuff you can find, I mean, I wouldn't take it. I mean, I always say that's actually a clue. When we can't buy the raw materials for as cheap as they're selling it, we know it can't be a good quality. Now, FDA, your question was really that they don't monitor vitamins and supplements. Totally false. It is not, vitamins and supplements do not have to be FDA approved.
True.
Okay? Drugs are FDA approved. FDA approval, it goes through an approval process on drugs because they have to see how much is acceptable for side effects and how many people die from it. And that is actually and get an acceptable risk. And that's actually what the FDA does on drugs. Now on supplements, it doesn't have to be FDA approved because you don't have the problems with it. Now I always tell people, even though it's not FDA approved, it is FDA regulated to the T.
Oh yes.
There has been times where there's bad batches of a supplement, just like there's bad batches of spinach that might have a bacteria that's killed people.
Yeah,
If
that
a supplement comes out and it has killed anybody, they remove it from the market for 10 years. So it is very controlled by the FDA.
For instance, on that,
Yeah.
years ago there was a tryptophan, which is an
Yeah.
amino acid, and the way you get these amino acids is you'll take, for instance, a protein that contains a lot of amino acid, for instance, turkey. Okay, and when they take a bacteria that eats everything except the tryptophan, and the Japanese had a product that they were bringing to the market with that, and they had some bad bacteria. They didn't test it as like they should, and some people got very sick from it, not dying but sick, and they removed tryptophan from the market for years.
I mean, it was probably at least 10, maybe
Over
even
10
longer
years, yeah.
Wow.
Now
And
it's back
so
on the market now,
It
but-
is definitely controlled by the FDA
Yeah.
because FDA can pull anything at any time. And if there is a rash of side effects from any over-the-counter stuff, they're going to pull it.
Yeah.
I mean, so it is regulated. It just does not have to go through the FDA approval process.
All right, well, give us a call with your health-related question, 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. Our operator is standing by to take your call, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. It is our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Drs. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition, located on Courthouse Road in not Courthouse.
Boy,
That
how
was
time
Road.
like,
flies.
That was
like
a
8
long
years
time
ago.
ago.
That was a Freudian slip. That was like years ago.
Way
Oh,
back
yeah.
there. Talk about
Yeah.
flashback. Oh. But anyway, it is Open Line Monday, so we're inviting you to call in regarding any questions regarding your health, helping you live a healthier lifestyle. There's a caller that asked if you have a natural diuretic instead of the one that she was prescribed.
The natural, there's a few things that are natural diuretics. The problem is none of them going to be quite as strong as, like hydrochlorothiazide or any of the others. When you start looking at that, if you've got a buildup of fluid, there's a lot of things that may need to be done. Some other health issues. That's a warning sign that something else is wrong, and we need to be looking and see what else
we
is
never
wrong.
suggest you stopping your medication
No.
and just switching over to something else. And in the diuretic, like he said, the natural ones are not near as strong as the prescription diuretics. But a lot of times you got to say, why are you building up fluid? And if it's a heart issue, the CoQ10 has been shown to be,
Yes.
really beneficial. I've seen people where their thyroid wasn't quite right, and so
See
the
that a lot.
thyroid actually was making fluid buildup. I've seen people where their liver wasn't quite right, and that was making fluid buildup. So we always say, look at the underlying problems, find out what you're, going on, and maybe add some stuff to it. And then if your fluid goes away, then work with your doctor on getting off the diuretic.
Exactly.
All right. Patty called and is taking Phyto-4 for pain.
Okay.
Can she give it to her dog for arthritis?
Let me think of what all's in it.
Well, it's got the hops.
Now,
I don't think there's
they
anything
can
in it.
definitely take the curcumin and the boswellia, that's used in animals a lot. I would actually have to look up the hops extract. I don't see why an animal can't take it, but every once in a while there's something a dog can't take, so I'll look it up. But that's one that we haven't been asked. So if you call us at the store, I will look that up for you and let you know.
Typically though, most of the research is done on animals, so
Most times it is, but I don't want to tell you something and it be wrong. So just give me a call and I'll look up the hops extract. The perluxin is the only one have not looked up for animals, but I know the other stuff in it has been used.
Yeah, because we've used some of the other things, right?
We have. So give me a call at the store and I'll look that up and let you know.
All right. Thanks a lot, Patty, for your call. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. It is Open Line Monday, and you can call in and ask a question regarding anything to live a healthier lifestyle. And, of course, you can go by and see the doctors. They are there from 10 to 5:30, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2 on Saturday. The store is open. Now, Jim and Janine are there Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And Dr. Mays is there on Wednesday and Friday. Of course, got a great staff there at all times that can help you out with any kind of questions that you have regarding any kind of supplements that you're interested in. And the great thing about it, we impress upon you all the time, is that you don't have to make an appointment. You might have to wait a few minutes, but you don't have to make an appointment, and there is no charge for a consultation.
Right.
So that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
Back to the caller that asked about the FDA regulation, because I think that's kind of a point that a lot of people have questions about. The FDA is, their guidelines are pretty strict. I mean, third-party testing, which we've done for years, but now they suggest that all people do a good manufacturing process that actually use third-party. In other words, you don't test it in-house. You test it in-house, find out, okay, so what we think it is. Now, send it outside to a third-party lab and have them test it.
And you also have to test the end product, not just the raw material.
Right.
Because the raw materials are normally tested before you get them in. But in the process of,
manufacturing,
encapsulating, if something gets too hot, it might destroy an ingredient, or, you can always have different factors, and so you want to test the end product also. Once it is completely finished.
You mentioned something in there, getting too hot, and it just made me think of something. Down here we go to the drugstore or whatever, or come and pick up a product, and you stick it in your car and you leave it there for a while.
Probably not a good idea.
I was
going to say, how much?
In
how much
South
does
Mississippi, I don't recommend things sitting now. I mean, most of it can withstand heat because, the heat that you even get from the car is not, when you're talking about the heating process of some of the processing goes into the
probably if you have to get something like that, stick it under your seat.
Yeah.
Get it in the shade.
Now, some things,
obviously,
like your probiotics, you never want to leave in the car.
No, because you need to refrigerate them in the first place.
Yeah, most of them. Now, we have a few that are shelf stable, but you still don't want to leave it in a hot car. I tell people it's okay to 98 degrees, but around here, unfortunately, the car gets hotter than 98
it gets
degrees.
hotter than that real quick.
Our fish, things that are gel capsules, things that they can melt.
Yeah.
If it gets hot enough,
omega-3s.
people will say
exactly.
they're like, how many people come in, I left this in my car for a week and it melted together. Well, around here in the middle of the summer, you get that. Now, so it's always better not.
Say, here, buy another bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy another one, sorry.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of times they will melt.
I
have seen them melt together. So, so some things are more, than others. But we do ship all over, and they do fine in shipping for a short period of time.
Oh, yeah.
So we do ship all over, and it does okay. But you just don't want to leave it long term. And like I said, some people do. They leave it in the car for weeks, and the longer it's in there, of course, the hotter it gets.
And especially if you're going to, like you mentioned, if you're going to put something in your car, and let's say you're out shopping, you buy something, you're on your way home, but you got to stop at a couple of places, put it in the floorboard underneath your seat, because heat rises.
Right.
So that's usually one of the coolest places in your car, which and it's shaded. So if you're parked, it's kind of shaded from the
don't
seat.
leave it in your seat in the sun.
No, or don't put it up on the dash. I mean, you see people just throw it up on the dash.
Oh,
that's
no,
the worst thing you can do for anything. Really.
Back to supplements that you can trust. We only use things that are considered to be pharmaceutical grade, which pharmaceutical grade has to be within 5% of the label claim. And it is tested at, as the raw materials come in, and it is tested in product. So the companies that we carry the supplements usually only sell to doctors. I mean, so it is a little bit higher quality supplements, and you might pay a hair more for it. Now, some things are not. Some things I tell people, you got to look. You can go to some of the big box stores, and they'll make things look cheap because they'll have 30 tablets in a bottle instead of 90, and it'll be a fourth of the strength than what we have, which is not therapeutic. And so, yes, it's cheaper. It would take 12 of those bottles to equal one of ours. So you do have to look at what you're getting, too, because a lot of times they make it look like it's cheap, and it's really not cheaper.
True.
So
we see that a lot. We really do.
And that's why it's best. I mean, as she said, that go ahead and get the natural supplements that y'all have, that y'all carry, because again, if you go look, pick up a bottle of something, even it says it's all natural or whatever in one of the big box stores. And I'm not going to name any names of companies or lines or anything, but there's like so many different things on the back of it. It's got fillers, it's got dyes.
I always say if they got dyes, you don't want it.
One of the biggest that we see is fish oil, because everybody will say, "Well, I'm taking a fish oil capsule. How much has it got in it? Oh, 1,200 milligrams of what?" And they always say, "Well, fish oil." Okay. But look at how much EPA and DHA, because that's what those are the two active ingredients. We've had other shows and talked about that. And if you look on the side of the label, it's going to have something called supplement facts. And it'll tell you how many milligrams of whatever is in there. And they're notorious at some of the, like say, the bigger box stores and places like that where you get discounted prices. You're going to see that, it'll have 1,200 milligrams of some sort of marine oil in it. But when you get into the EPA and DHA, it's very, very, very low.
Very low. And when we talk about research on fish oil and the beneficial effects of that and what all the medical studies that have been done, it's always done on higher doses. It's not done on these minute doses that most people are taking.
Right.
So when you want a therapeutic effect from it, you do have to take enough of it to make a difference.
And I'm often asked, say, well, am I wasting my time taking this thing? Well, if you're only taking one of something and you need 10, you're wasting your time. But if you're taking adequate quantity of it, then you're doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we tell people take up what you have, but need to increase the amount that you're taking until you run out, because and most people don't want to take 10 to 15 pills of something. They would rather take 2 or 4.
There you go.
Yeah.
8960713, 800-349-0713 is our open line Monday. We'll be right back with this week's special in just a moment. And welcome back to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Dr. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctor's Nutrition on Cowan Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road. It's our Open Line Monday. This is our last segment. So if you have something you need to ask them regarding a health situation, you're welcome to call in. A lady called in and asked if you carry turmeric.
Yeah, actually the active ingredient in turmeric is the curcumins. And we got quite a few different things. Matter of fact, they mentioned before in the last segment about that Phyto-4 that the patient was taking for arthritis. It's in there. So we've got a lot of formulas with it.
We have it by itself. We have it in something called Curcumasorb, which is a patented brand called Mariva. We have something called Curcuma Avail, which is a higher dose where you take a lower amount of capsules, but it's actually really strong. But a couple of the products are what they call liposomal for more absorption, for better absorbability. And so they do work better. Now, curcumins are used for inflammation. They're used for pain. There is so much research coming out on cancer prevention. It's good for, if you keep down inflammation, you can help almost anything. You can help the heart. You can help the brain. You can help with keeping down the inflammation. And really, probably when you really look at it, being an anti-inflammatory is one of its big things.
That's one of its big things, but there's a lot of research that's come out in the past few years on the curcumins or the turmeric extracts that just show that it's got, like she said, even against some of the cancers and cancer growth and retarding cancer growth, protecting some of the genetic issues that we have, where the genes can be damaged from some of the toxic stuff that's in the environment. And we could do 10 shows on that.
That is one of the products that we have multiple people, a lot of people around here that do have cancer go to MD Anderson. And there's quite a few of the doctors at MD Anderson that are using curcumins with chemo. So there's a lot of research going on with them together, because they tell them, go get this when you get back, So we have a lot of people that come in and even their doctors have told them to take it. So there's a lot of medical research.
Because it even helps with some of the side effects of the chemo when they're going through that, So it's got.
So it's a really good. So yes, we have it because that's one. To me, it's one of the better natural substances that's out.
It really is.
More benefits than just. It really does have a lot of benefits. We take it ourselves.
Okay. So what is the special this week?
Special.
we got 2 things. One, we always got to have something for the memory. So memory core is one. And that's just something to help memory. It's got the cocoa extract, which has got a tremendous amount of research on it. And it's got a lot of other ingredients in it that
It's got
specifically.
your ginkgo and phosphatidylserine and
Yeah.
acetylcarnitine, and so I mean it has all your different things for memory.
Now the AminoFlow is actually a concoction, if you will, of amino acids, and these amino acids are to help the nitric oxide, which nitric oxide, and especially the ENOS, they call it the endothelial nitric oxide, helps to dilate blood vessels, which gives you better blood supply and blood flow all around the body. You know, a lot of folks that use that, and if they come in and they're having blood pressure issues where they're hard to control, we'll start with something like the AminoFlow. Great compound, really helps with those, dilate those blood vessels, give better circulation. I mean, it's just
We do
all-around
have
product.
a lot of people come in and get it for ED.
Yes,
Because
well,
of course
if you,
increase in circulation is one of the problems there.
you dilate blood
so
vessels.
that's probably the two biggest things that we use it for.
Yeah.
But the AminoFlow is something that does work real well.
Well, we got a lot of folks that take that one for, that, like I say, when you get somebody that's on, a couple of different blood pressure medications and they're having that issue of, well, okay, we think we're not going to have another one. You want to try some of these other products like that, the curcumins, to get down that inflammation.
It can be added to your medication. Is the
Yeah, something can take along with it. It
Yeah.
doesn't interfere with anything. It's just amino acids that are blended specifically for that, what we call nitric oxide stimulation.
Now, the only people that we say shouldn't take the AminoFlow, the arginine in it can actually stimulate the herpes virus.
Right.
So we do say if
it's
you
got
have
some
the
lysine
herpes
in it.
virus, you do
Yeah.
have to be careful with the arginine. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't say everybody can take it, but I mean,
No.
most people can.
And even some of those that have had issues with the various herpes viruses, and there's a whole bunch of those guys. We can crank up the lysine to go along with it sometimes and just eliminate.
And
the
on the
problem.
memory core, if you're on a blood thinner, you can't take it because ginkgo biloba is a pretty strong blood thinner itself, so you can't take it with other blood thinners. But we do have all the stuff that's in memory core separate, that some of the ingredients you can take with.
Yes.
Blood thinner. So, I mean, if that's the case, it doesn't mean you can't take anything for memory. You just can't specifically take that product.
Right.
But we have other products that you can take.
And that's why it's always best that whenever you come in and see them that, we mentioned this before too, but be sure you bring a list of any kind of medications that you are taking.
Right, because you don't want to take stuff that doesn't combine
Exactly,
with it.
exactly,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it could be basically one canceling out the other or
it's-
creating more of an issue than you
It
already have.
actually a lot of times it actually, like I said, a blood thinner, if something natural thins the blood, you can get too thin, and you don't want to bleed to death. I mean, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, we
And-
see people come in a lot of times
Yeah.
and they're just out shopping. They've read about I've read about this. It's really good
and they
stuff.
want to take it. I say, you can't take that. Well, why not? Because it doesn't go with this medication, or you do have to look at what people are taking, because there are things that don't mix.
True.
Well, and one thing we always mention too is a good thing that come in and get, if you have any specific questions you're not sure, get some blood work done. They have
Always a
different
good idea.
panels that you can choose from, so you can get some blood work done and kind of figure out exactly with knowing what you're taking already.
Right.
They can put you on a great regimen of supplements like they did for me.
Yep. Yeah.
Been feeling great. Anyway, next week, kids are. Matter of fact, teachers went back to today,
Yeah.
kind of full time.
most schools.
Most schools, kind of getting everything ready. God bless you. And so,
Hey man.
But next week we're going to be talking about how to keep from getting sick, because when everybody goes back to school, everybody starts getting sick because they
Kids
pass
come home
around all them
sick.
things. So we're going to talk about how to boost the immune system
Right.
and how to keep well with going back to school.
there you go. All right, because as you said, I mean, especially for some reason, especially in the smaller schools or whatever.
Yeah.
Hope you have a great week and enjoy yourselves and be careful out there. Be sure you put on plenty of sunscreen. We'll see you next Monday.